He spent his family fortune on his travels and supporting researchers of his time. And in 1953, the German government in Western Germany at the time founded today's Alexander von Humboldt Foundation with the aim of continuing the kind of networking that Alexander von Humboldt was known for. The foundation has key principles for all programs. Our sole criterion for selection is academic excellence, so we don't have quotas for countries or for disciplines. And we sponsor people, not projects. Of course, researchers come with projects, but our idea is that over time, projects can change, and the individuals who drive research remain part of the Humboldt network worldwide. Everyone in our program has a free choice of the research topic and also of the host collaborative partner in Germany. We wish to emphasize that equal opportunities is extremely important for us, and we strongly encourage female researchers to apply in our programs. And we want to ensure as much diversity in our programs as we possibly can. Here you can see our funding programs. The foundation has a profile that starts after the doctorate. So from the postdoc level to the height of one's career, there are funding opportunities through the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, mostly to researchers from abroad. So this is you here today. I will talk about the Humboldt Research Fellowship Program here and briefly mention the awards, but focus on the fellowship program. With funding from the foundation, fellows can go to any of the German research universities or Leibniz, Max Planck, Helmholtz, Fraunhofer institutes. So anywhere in Germany, it is possible to actually pursue research with our funding. The Humboldt Research Fellowship Program is our oldest program and largest program. It comes in two lines. One is for postdocs, one is for experienced researchers, and we draw the line at 4 years after the PhD. But it's a continuous program, so it doesn't really matter whether you're 4 or 5 years after a PhD. The committee will always assess you for your career stage. The fellowship can be granted up to 24 months for postdocs, 18 months for experienced researchers, and can be divided into up to 3 stays. The minimum requirement is 6 months, so 2 times 3 months is all you need in terms of time if you want to come to Germany as a Humboldt Fellow. Application requirements are the doctorate degree that's most important. It is possible to apply for funding before you actually graduate, before you receive your certificate, but you can only start the research stay once you have the PhD. The committee needs publications to review and assess your academic profile. And everyone needs a host in Germany. So before you apply, you need to go through the process of finding someone in Germany who will host you. We ask for independent research proposals, meaning that the programs are not meant to support German groups and give them labor for what they want to do, but to allow individuals to pursue the research they want to actually be doing in collaboration with partners in Germany. And you don't need to know German to apply for our programs. English is sufficient and is spoken very widely in German research contexts. We don't have deadlines, so you can apply for funding anytime. There's an online process, and the procedure usually takes 4 to 7 months. So I advise strongly to plan well in advance if you're thinking about a stay in Germany and applying for our programs. Once selected, then there are many benefits that go with the fellowship. Of course, financial benefits. So there's money to support cost of living in Germany, also travel, health insurance. There's an allowance for research costs for hosts. At the same time, the foundation wants to allow fellows to make more out of their stay in Germany than just the research stay and financial benefits. So we offer fellowship events, including a study tour through Germany, which is something that every fellow who's attended it really recommends. And we provide alumni support. We say once a Humboldtian, always a Humboldtian. So this is something that you can use for a lifetime. It doesn't mean that funding comes for a lifetime, but you can always apply for renewed research stays in Germany for up to 3 months for the duration of an academic career. We have benefits for fellows with families. These are monthly benefits to increase the fellowship rate for cost of living, and also extensions for fellows. There's a maternity leave extension, also parenthood extension, so to allow for more time for fellows who come to Germany with families. In addition to the fellowships, as I said, they're up to 12 years after the PhD. That's you can apply for our Humboldt Research Fellowship. After that, we have research prizes. Here we have a nomination process. So German colleagues nominate researchers abroad for these prizes. There are two prizes that I want to mention. One is the Friedrich Wilhelm Bessel Research Award for researchers up to 18 years after the PhD. And the Humboldt Research Award is open to any researchers at the height of their careers. And I wish to end with the information for you in Canada. We have a Humboldt Foundation liaison office in Canada based in Alberta at the University of Alberta. And Laura Entman is part of this meeting here today. So I strongly encourage you also to look at their resources and information on their website. And in addition, you're welcome to contact me personally or info@avhde. Of course, please also check the information on our website. There are a lot of resources available there.
Thanks, Kathleen. It's actually very good to follow Humboldt because in terms of the philosophical approach, DAAD dovetails quite nicely with what you just heard from Kathleen and the Humboldt programs. So DAAD is the German Academic Exchange Service. As you can see in the top right here with our 100-year logo, this is a anniversary year. This is our centennial year. DAAD was founded, if you do the math, 1925, coming out of World War I, and has its roots here very much in North America. So it started as an exchange opportunity involving students from Heidelberg and Harvard and grew into the organization that we know today with a few turns along the way, as I'm sure you can imagine. What do we do? So similar to Humboldt, we are focused very much on providing funding for individual academics. We fund scholars from all fields of study, and we have programs for all levels. To give you a sense of the scale of our activities, in 2023, our budget was nearly 840 million euros, and we used that to move over 140,000 grantees. So from Germany to the world, from the world to Germany. We have a network of offices worldwide, 57 at present, and I'm based here in Toronto and responsible for liaising with all Canadian universities. So we're going to start with a little bit on opportunities for faculty. We have Bastian here from DLR today. We have partnered with DLR, the German Aerospace Centers, to offer research fellowships for faculty level scholars who are working in the broad areas of aeronautics, space, transportation, energy. And what are these fellowships? These are essentially 1 to 3 month stays in Germany, where you would be working on an existing research project. So you would be contributing to an existing research project at one of these DLR centers. So the way this program works is you can see what the current offers are. So the DLR centers post these on the DAAD webpage, and these change. It's a dynamic process, and you can go in there and see what fits, and if something dovetails nicely with your work and your interests, you could apply to go to a DLR center to work on this project. They accept these applications, as you might expect, on a rolling basis, so it's worth stopping by from time to time. And as I say, those are four fairly broad research umbrellas under which you might fit. So that's the DLR DAD Research Fellowship as it exists for senior scholars. One of the programs that people often associate with our organization is the Visiting Professorship Program. So this is typically a capstone type of activity. So if you have ongoing connections to Germany, have had them through your career, the possibility exists to go and teach at a German partner institution. So one of the nice things about this is a program that your German university host would apply to DAD in Germany for. So you would obviously support that application, but they would be applying to DAD Germany for funds to help offset the costs of your salary. And yes, indeed, salary, you would be an employee of the German university for the duration of your time there. That duration can be anywhere from 3 months up to 2 years. So depending on what you're looking to do with your sabbatical, this might be an activity you could use in that time frame. An important thing to note is education in Germany is organized as it is here in Canada. That is, it's a federal system, so each German state has their own pay scale, and you would be remunerated on the basis of your seniority and that local pay rate. So these can vary significantly. It's important to do your homework at the outset. Find out what it is you can expect to receive. But the Visiting Professorship Program is there and continues. If you have had the good fortune of being a long-term DAD grantee in the past, we have a reinvitation grant. So not dissimilar to what Katrine described from the Humboldt. If you've received funding from DAD 6 months or longer in the past, you can apply for a reinvitation. So to return to Germany, not necessarily to the same place you were initially, but to the country for a research stay of between 1 and 3 months. So we have one deadline coming up in the fall, probably mid-October, and that would be for stays happening basically in the second half of 2026. So the re-invitation grant for faculty. All right, we have some programs that are offered to facilitate, I guess, a larger scale collaboration. So these are programs, I want to emphasize, open to your German partners to facilitate collaboration or teaching at a larger scale than just individuals. So the most popular of these programs is known by its German acronym PPP. If you mention that to your German partners, they will probably nod with recognition. What this does is it facilitates the mobility primarily of graduate level students, typically doctoral students, but also masters in some cases, on an existing collaborative research project. So in order to apply for this program, you need to have some sort of track record of collaboration. It need not be at a large scale, but there needs to be a joint publication, something along those lines, and then you want to build this up. So again, this is something that the German partner can apply to DAD in Bonn for the support of, and they can receive up to 15,000 euros a year to move their graduate students to UCalgary to do work on this project. One of the nice things about doing work coming and presenting at UCalgary, as Nishan showed at the outset, you have resources there to help leverage these sorts of opportunities. So I'm not an expert on the programs you have, but based on the information presented here, I think some of those might be used for this type of activity. Important to note, PPP has a schedule with its international partner countries. So Canada is not eligible to apply every year as a partner. I think the next time the window opens for us is 2026. So you have a little bit of a ramp run up time to get this thing happening. Another program we have is known as the short form ISAP, International Study and Training Partnerships. I'm simply going to describe it as an exchange program on steroids. So the idea here is to move a cohort of students in a specific study program to an international partner, typically for a semester. So this program has been used, but it requires a significant degree of coordination. The idea here is to, synchronize or bring together teaching priorities. So you could, for instance, the Department of Chemistry at the University of Calgary and a chemistry department at a German university could agree to move cohorts of students. I'll leave it there. There's information on the website. We can follow up if you're interested. And then, of course, DAAD is highly interested in seeing the creation of double degree programs involving German universities and international partners. This program, again, largely used to fund the participation of the German degree students while they're in Calgary. However, the first year of funding is an administration year. So basically, the funds flow to the German partner, but can be used in part to bring scholars and staff from Calgary to the German partner for extended stay, 1 week, 2 weeks, to iron out all of those administrative wrinkles that come with programs like this. So it's nice to know that is there to get the thing on solid footing. The first tranche of funding, I believe, caps out at 5 years. So 1 year admin, 4 years of travel, and then you can renew for a further 3 years. So up to 8 years of funding. This has been well used in Canada. It's a nice program. Of course, we have opportunities so you can bring German scholars here. Interesting to hear about the visiting scholar program that you have. It might indeed complement what we offer here very nicely because we don't have long-term stays for German scholars to come abroad. We have a conference travel program, so you could host someone who's making a presentation, a meeting, giving a paper at one of your conferences. We have a lecture series, and those are relatively short-term stays. So if you're looking to, yeah, combine that with what you have, you might, at Calgary, you might be able to have a longer term stay. I would like to point out one special class of programs we have, the German Universities of Applied Sciences, typically known as Fachhochschule in the past, and the new German acronym is this HAW. So we have a whole suite of programs that were brought into life a couple of years ago designed to facilitate the mobility of teaching staff, support staff, and students at this class of institution. This is a relatively underused series of grants, and basically the opportunity is there for you to host students, staff, and faculty from those institutions. So if you have partners from universities of applied sciences, point them there. That may be an avenue to bring them to Calgary. And then, of course, you can host PhD students from Germany doing their dissertation research. So that's basically an instance where you'd provide a letter of support. All right, I'm going to do this very quickly. We, of course, have programs to support students, doctoral students, and recent postdocs. We recently retooled this program. It's now called Research Grants in Germany. It's open to scholars in all fields. If they have a compelling reason to get to Germany, we would love to receive the application. For PhD students at the ABD phase, they can apply for support of anywhere from 2 to 12 months. For recent postdocs, the stays are slightly shorter, 2 to 6 months. So the idea here at the postdoc level is to fill that gap before the Humboldt. So Humboldt's from 6 months, we are up to 6 months. And you can get a sense here of what the support is. So we're not able to support as generously as Humboldt, but it is a living allowance, and DAAD is committed to ensuring that our grantees don't have to go out of pocket, so cost of living is an issue there as well. We do have opportunities to top up if that's necessary to pay, depending on where you're staying. Next round of deadlines for this coming in the fall. Rise Professional, I'm going to skip this. It's a workplace internship opportunity for graduate students from the natural sciences and engineering. Great program. If you're interested, we can circle back. Prime, my goodness. This is a program that I think was designed by creating the acronym and then working backwards. Postdoc Researchers International Mobility Experience. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot in there. It is complicated. It's pretty cool. We partnered with the European Commission on this, and it basically has two primary goals. One, to give, what's the term in English? Emerging scholars, so recent postdocs, their first working contract with a German university. But it's also designed to facilitate mobility in the European research area. So it's an 18-month work contract with a German university, the first year of which is spent on secondment at a European partner. So this is really realistic for people who have an existing connection with a German university. And again, this is an employment contract. You can see here the terms between 4,000 to 5,000 euros monthly, plus for that expat or that secondment period, an extra 1,000 is sort of hardship because you're not in Germany. What a very German perspective on the whole thing. At any rate, there you go. That's what we do with this. I think the deadline is typically, what does it say here, in August. So that's coming up. We have a DLR DAAD Research Fellowship also for postdocs. Again, this one's longer. So if you're a recent postdoc, you can go 6 months up to 2 years. And the PhD level, this is essentially you can do your PhD studies at one of these DLRs. So it's 3 years, and I believe it can be renewed for a 4th. So very quickly, 2 resources. Research in Germany. Google it. You'll find the URL. I'll share these slides. This is really designed to answer all the questions that you might have as a more senior scholar about what an extended research stay in Germany involves. So there's whole sections in there under the Your Goal tab for PhDs, postdocs, senior scholars, funding, but also the logistical questions that you have about moving to Germany with dependents, schools, language, etc. Worth checking out. And the embassy likes it when I do this, so I'm hoping this will get back to them. This is their network on LinkedIn that's designed to bring together scholars and industry representatives from Canada and Germany. There's the group. If you just look up the Hertzberg Network on LinkedIn, you can join it. It's a great platform for promoting your opportunities and finding connections. And finally, this is where I am. So if you want to reach me, please do. This is my job. So thanks so much for the opportunity to do this today. If there's questions later on, happy to answer them.
Today I'm more of a kind of an exode. I'm not fitting right into because I'm not trying to show you what the DLR actually does. My colleague took already care of that. I'm actually here to present you the Horizon Europe, which is the 9th framework program for research and innovation. And we heard you are quite active, so I will make that brief. I'm working as a national contact point at the DLR Project Management Agency at the EU Bureau of the Federal Ministry for Research, Technology and Space. They were recently renamed because of our government change. So we were established by the Federal Ministry of Education and Research. The EU Bureau hosts several NCPs, national contact points, and we have also further NCPs at PTDLR, which you can see at that slide. I will make all my slides available so you don't have to worry about missing some points. What is the National Contact Points Network? We are officially nominated by the European Commission and funded by the government of the respective country. I included here the link for the NCPs in Canada, which are, what I heard, quite active, although you joined not so long ago. What NCPs do is we offer free and confidential advice. So we are happy to help. Email, phone, in person, including also proofreading of draft proposals within Horizon Europe. We also host, like today, information events. We have applicant workshops, brokerage events, and information on website and newsletters. So a lot of our resources is available online, and so it's not a problem also to reach us from afar. But I guess for your local needs in Canada and your participation as university itself, you will have your colleagues at the university and also your NCP colleagues in Canada, which would have the same information basically, which I got. What is the EU Research Framework Program? It's actually a huge program. The framework programs itself have existed since 1984. So from 1st to 7th, they were just numbered, 1st to 7th framework program. Then we had Horizon 2020, and now we have Horizon Europe. The 10th framework program is around the corner. It's hopefully upcoming. There are some political discussions about whether or not it will be a self-sustaining program. So this is quite an interesting time. And the size and budget have been continuously increasing. I will go to the budget a little bit later. The EU funding must be complementary to national funding. So we are not actually doing the funding ourselves, but we just advise on the funding opportunities which derive on European level. And it always requires an European added value. So we have the principle of subsidiarity. The objectives of the framework programs itself is the creation of a European research area and also the promotion of cooperation between companies, research centers, and universities to increase competitiveness throughout Europe. And this increased competitiveness has been more and more part of the programs. We had the first framework program for research and innovation with Horizon 2020, now the second one. And the next one will be based around competitiveness a lot, which is because it's a huge topic in Europe right now. Other than that, if you are a little bit familiar already with the framework programs, if you have heard about them, Horizon Europe is a direct successor of Horizon 2020. We had an evolution or revolution. That can't be said for the 10th framework program. There will change a lot, but for now you're safe. It's the tried and tested remained, and that will also stay. So many parts of the program remained completely unchanged from also few programs ago. And the rules of participation also hasn't changed at all. So that's not a problem. The model grant agreement, which is the contract you're signing with the Commission, so this is where you apply for funding, is also looking quite familiar for people who worked also in the Horizon 2020. This is finally the structure. We are talking about the 3 pillars: excellent science, global challenges and European industrial competitiveness, and innovative Europe. So right now you are in pillar 2, Canada associated to pillar 2, which is the second one. And you see there, this is a area where you have certain research themes, which are very diverse and cover almost every existing topics, any existing hot topics right now in research. It's going from health, civil security, digital industry and space, where you also find all your artificial intelligence topics, climate, energy, mobility, food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture and environment, you name it, it's all there. You also see the Joint Research Center there. I'm also, next to being an SCP for legal and financial issues, I'm a project program coordinator for the NCP of the JRC, which is the Joint Research Center of European Commission. Basically some kind of scientific service of the European Commission. So they give advice to the Commission on ongoing and forthcoming topics in research, which will be the next hot topics, and they give the basic data for the best possible political approaches. We have also another part which is hugely uninteresting to our participants here, which would be widening participation and strengthening the European research area. That's a little bit out of scope. I won't go into detail too much about that. If you have any questions about it, you can ask later. I promised, here's the Horizon Europe budget. It's right now one of the world's largest research programs. The budget from 2021 to 2027 is approximately 100 billion euros, which goes in current prices. And as you can see, almost more than half of it goes to the second pillar. So the big topics of our time, where we're trying to tackle global problems, and where also Canadian partners are more than welcome to join in. The pillar one is about excellent science. The objectives here are strengthen the excellent basic research and pioneering research. So we are in the lower corner of fundamental research, so to say. Here, it's all about train, retrain, and win back talents from science and innovation related research in the European research area, and linking and expanding existing research infrastructures throughout the European research area, which are also accessible to people from all around the world, and strengthen transnational access to these. Within the, because I had a short look at the numbers in Canada, actually, you were also active in the ERC, which is one of the biggest programs in Horizon Europe, the Horizon Europe Excellence Program. The basic principle here is groundbreaking frontier research. So we have a lot of Nobel Prize awardees within the ERC. So it's open to basically all scientific disciplines. It's a bottom-up program, and it's about the promotion of individual researchers and their teams. So unlike most of the other research you will see in Horizon Europe, which is based on international consortia, here it's about one excellent individual researcher. The second one is also quite well known. My colleagues talked a lot about mobility actions. This is the main mobility action within Horizon Europe. It's Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions. Basic principles to promote the career development of researchers through innovative training. It's also open to all disciplines, so it's also a bottom-up call. And it's about transnational physical mobility and involves also the non-academic sector. So basically, it's a work exchange between universities and, for example, companies. But these networks need to be set up, and Canada can be, I guess, partially be part of it. So if you have any interest there, there's also a specific NCP for these Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions. And I mentioned the research infrastructure, which is quite a competitive factor for the EU, which are large equipment and instruments and knowledge researchers, which can be also accessed from the outside, from outside of Europe, because they have also electronic research infrastructures, like for example, the European Cloud for Research Data and stuff like that. So that's also quite interesting. The second pillar, the pillar you're associated to in Canada, is contributing to overcoming global challenges and sustainable development. Here it's knowledge gains through research funding, from bottom-up funding to into the market funding. We have promotions of all forms of innovations. These TRLs is technology readiness level, which is actually, I guess, it was originally used in space, so it's from 1 to 10 the levels, and it's from fundamental research to basically being in the market. So you can see within the topics or description already what your project will be about. Third pillar is about innovative Europe. We have here the objective of promoting of innovations of all kinds. This is mainly more closer to the market, and it's normally closed up from partners from the outside. For German research, accessible from technological development to demonstration and knowledge transfer to the market directly. Even the UK, which is fully associated to the program, can't be part of the European innovative ecosystem, for example, because they don't use a grant-based system, but more than funding through the market. We mentioned it several times, but what we meant about that, participation in Horizon Europe, when we talk about that, eligibility is not fundability. Actually, you can participate to Horizon Europe from basically all over the world. We have a few countries who are left out right now, which is, for example, Russia right now. But basically, you can participate within Horizon Europe, but you won't get funding. The participation is possible from EU member states, associated states, and low and middle income countries. There could be examples where you would have other third countries if they are identified in the work program. So if there's a special link to a specific country, or the Commission considers the participation to be essential for the project implementation. For example, if intellectual property right lie by with a company in a certain country, then it could be eligible for funding and that exempt in that case. The association here, Horizon Europe, generally aims to strengthen international cooperation. It's the first program ever within that framework to support real international cooperation, not just close neighborhood of Europe. The association takes place via an individual association agreement, and on 3rd July 2024, Canada signed their association agreement to Horizon Europe Pillar 2. So basically now Canadian organizations can participate on equal footing with participants from the EU without a problem in all Pillar 2 calls, and will get their funding from the Commission, basically then paid through the Canadian government. A few numbers about that. Canada and Horizon Europe, we have allowed up to now, from the start to now, about 100 Canadian organizations are participating in 211 projects in Horizon Europe. The grants they received is totaling around 11.8 million euros right now. The funding distribution here is very, very focused, like for example, your university. The Canadian higher education institutions are the biggest part of that. So 86% of the funding distribution goes to these institutions, followed by research institutions and companies. German organizations and organizations from Canada actually cooperating a lot. There's from the 211 projects, 121 projects are joint projects with German partners. We are represented in around 57 of our projects with Canadian participation overall, which is makes us the largest benefactor or largest participant in Canadian projects, guess closely followed by France. I can't go into detail in all the huge topics. I mean, it's an amazing program, but it's also a lot to take in and not in that time. So I will give you all the information you need. The funding and tender portal is basically the one-stop shop of the European Commission, where you will find access, everything's online. You will find all the access you need to the portal. You will also find all the reference documents, all the legal documents, the guidance documents, all the templates you will need to prepare yourself for the calls. We have an online manual, which is good for a basic overview, and a how-to wiki, which is good for more detailed questions. And I also linked it here. You have an events part of the Horizon of the Commission, which, for example, the Horizon implementation days and seminars on lump sum and the certain topics and the upcoming work program and the running work program and whatnot. The Commission makes a lot of information. It's all available and is recorded. So most of that stuff you can look up on YouTube. So you can find a lot of information online. It's all available in English, which is basically the question. I mean, it's one of the languages in Europe, but it's certainly the most important in Horizon Europe.
And good morning from San Francisco. I will be talking about the German Research Foundation. I head the office here in San Francisco, which is responsible for the western parts of North America, which also includes Alberta. So you can really see me as a first point of contact if you have any questions or want to learn more about the DFG, so the German Research Foundation, feel free to reach out. But I will take the next 6-7 minutes to really kind of just give you an overview of what the DFG is and how we work together with our North American partners. So some quick facts. The DFG is the largest funding organization for basic research in Germany. So we really have a focus on basic research in all fields. We have a budget of 3.9 billion euros. That was the 2023 numbers, but each year is about the same. Where does this money come from? It comes from the federal government mostly, and then 1/3 from the 16 different German states. And with that money, we funded around just under 32,000 research projects. So we really are part of this larger family, if you will, of different funding organizations in Germany, and our focus is on basic research and really in project forms. So what do? We fund in all academic disciplines, so this should be relevant for most people here. We are independent. We are a member-based organization. So I think in this time and age, that's important to emphasize. That means concretely that we have 99 members, which are different German universities and research institutions, which make up our organization. Really, all we do is we administer a fair and competitive grant process. So we want to ensure that the best science in all fields is being funded. We do have some strategic funding, which I will talk about in a second. And we want to make sure that as part of our funding structures that we advocate for important topics, not limited to, but including academic freedom, ethical standards, gender equality, diversity, etc.
Diego, apologies. If you're advancing your slides, we're not seeing them advanced.
Oh, okay. Sorry, 1 second then. So you see like just the first screen?
The title slide. We're seeing
Title
your
slide. Okay.
there we go. So what do we do? Quick facts.
Okay. How about now? What do you see?
I can see the quick facts slide.
Okay, just the quick facts. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you see the DFG what do we do slide?
Yeah. It's not in presentation mode, so we're seeing just I mean, it works this way too. If you want to click on this, there we go. So what do we do? Yeah.
Okay. Then we can just kind of work like this for now, for the sake of time. Okay. Great. So yeah, so I will keep on going then. Thanks for letting me know. So I want to talk quickly about eligibility. So eligibility, you have to be to apply for DFG funding, you have to have an affiliation with a German university or research institution and a PhD requirement. There are no deadlines, however, and once a project is submitted, then there will be a comprehensive review process by experts in the field. I will talk about now how, I understand the target audience, the audience here is Canadian researchers, so I will get into how you can really be part of these projects together with your German research partner. So, yeah, really the idea is that since your German research partner would be applying for the funding, the trick is, or not the trick, but the work is how can you be integrated into this international research project. This can be done in several ways, and I will give a couple of examples right now. So I will kind of move on. So you can contribute to a research project in Germany. So let's say you have a German research partner and they want to involve you in the project. There's funds for travel in both directions, so you can visit them and they can visit you. There's also, this could be things like doing archive work, on-site research. One of the labs has the one microscope, which is only in one location, and you really need to work together with that microscope. So, you have on-site research. There's also funds for conferences and other types of workshops, which could be held in either country. Moving on, as a second opportunity to be integrated into a project, we also have what we call the Initiate and Intensify International Collaboration. So this is really before you have the project, you just want to talk more about potential research that you would want to do together. We have different options such as travel and workshops for a potential project, also for events and conferences, scientific networks. There's also the opportunity to host a sabbatical. This is a pretty cool program where the DFG would pay for a substitute in Germany, meaning allowing for the German professor to keep their salary and come visit you in Calgary for a sabbatical. So you could host somebody, they would be working with you, and then we would make sure that the university in Germany would still be able to do their work through a substitute. Another great program that we have to really integrate researchers on both sides into shared projects is funding postdocs in North America. So we have our Walter Benjamin Fellowship. This is for postdocs from Germany, and they can really do this, their postdoc anywhere in the world. We currently have 1 or 2 at the University of Calgary, and we've always had about 1 or 2 for the past several years. So if you are interested in this, please reach out. Essentially, then you could have a postdoc join your group, and it would be a great experience for them and also for you. We have had several co-calls in the past, our official partners in Canada, NSERC and SSHRC. We currently just have one program, which is we have this kind of, we call it the International Research Training Group, which is the other side of the NSERC Create program. I believe the deadline for this and the letter of intent on the Canadian side just passed on May 1st. However, moving forward, this should be an opportunity for international research training groups and really training the next generation of researchers. So also please reach out if you would like. So this is a little bit more from the German side. You know, it's similar to Create. It's really a 3-year program, and I think it's. I'll move on for now. Here's one example, actually at the University of Calgary, of one that's currently running. So it's a collaboration between Calgary, Ottawa, and the University of Rostock in quantum optics and physics of atoms, molecules, and plasmas. So this is a great, maybe if you want to kind of see how it's really working and in practice, this is a great current case study, and from what I can tell, a great program. Another opportunity, if you are interested in going to Germany, you've seen so many options today. They all are amazing. Here's another one, and it's the Mercator Fellowship. This allows you to work up to 12 months in Germany. You are joining a research project. You are researching and teaching and funded by the DFG. And this is a great way to be involved in a German research project and university. And what's great about this is that you don't have to do it 12 months at a time. So you can split up 3 months in Germany, 3 months back in Canada, etc., and go back and forth if that is desirable. And this is kind of really the main information right now I would want to highlight is the clusters of excellence. Just last week, a whole new round was announced. So this is a long-term funding module of 7 years. We have now 70 clusters, which will begin in January 2026. Each cluster will receive 3 to 10 million euros, then each year for the 7 years. And the entire program is funded with around 539 million euros. You can see it's in all disciplines, 13 in the social science and humanities, and then everything else. We have a couple examples here, which you can read on the screen, ranging from climate change to human rights to biosystems and also physics. And what's great about this is there's a lot of opportunities to work in Germany or also collaborate with Germany starting in January. So I would definitely take a look at this. I'm happy to share more information later. You may be wondering, okay, a lot of this DFG funding requires a partner in Germany. What can I do to make that happen? We have a couple of resources for you. One being Garrett, which is really a database of the different German research institutions. We have JEPRIS. So if you're wondering, okay, well, this is great. There's a lot of different opportunities for international funding. But what is kind of an example of that? What are some example projects? You can go to JEPRIS and you can see everything that's been funded by the DFG. Also, there's quite a large list of projects that have involved Calgary. So that's a great resource. And there is a new funding atlas. I believe currently only in German. I've been trying to get a hold of the English version, which is coming, which really shows the whole publicly funded research landscape in Germany. And yeah, besides that, there's a large landscape in Germany beyond the DFG. You've heard from some of them today. And I will wrap up. You can kind of see me as the first point of contact here, and hope to hear from you soon. If you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you, everybody, for participating today.